What is going on, guys? Today I want to share with you some of my favorite places in one of the most underrated countries in all of Europe. Ireland is such a beautiful country. It is just off the coast of England and Wales, and it is the birthplace of writers like Oscar Wilde and home to Guinness beer, and has some of the most incredible coastline in the world. Recently, I went to Ireland for the second time, and I road tripped the entire country and the wild Atlantic Way with the tourism board and Stellar Stories. So I put together my absolute favorite places here, and without further ado, here is my top 10 places to visit in Ireland. First up is going to be Mizen Head, and this is located in County Cork, and this is Ireland's most southwesterly point. It is so far out there. I zoomed out of my Google Maps while I was there, and it was so cool to see just how southwest this place is. The signal station here has tons of history. You can walk across the iconic Mizen footbridge. There's a handful of different lookout points, the famous 99 steps, and there is a delicious fish and chips in the cafe that is so fresh. The bridge is one of the coolest bridges I've ever seen, and mixed with the jagged coastline, this is a place I will never forget and definitely my favorite spot in Ireland on this trip. Next up at number 2 is going to be Nohovol Cove, and this place wasn't actually on my itinerary to my surprise. While I was researching places to go at my first hotel in Kinsale, I found out that this beautiful cove was only 15 minutes from my hotel. Really couldn't believe it, so the next morning I set out to visit just after sunrise, and it must not be well known because I had this entire place to myself for a few hours. This is one of my favorite spots, and it seems like this really cool and beautiful little hidden gem of County Cork. And make sure you hike all the way to the top so you can see the beautiful rock bridge. Definitely a must visit while you're here. Number 3 is going to be Conor Pass, and this is a 12-kilometer scenic drive that crosses from the north to the south shore of the Dingle Peninsula. It's one of the highest Irish mountain passes in the country, and while it only sits at 1,345 feet above sea level, you are just engulfed in the mountains, and it is such a beautiful drive in County Kerry. Not to mention, I had one of the most beautiful sunrises of my trip here. I stopped at every single roadside stop, and I even passed a waterfall and some mountain goats. This is a great morning, and I highly recommend it for anyone traveling to Ireland. Next up at number 4 is going to be Duncan Pier, and I visited here while I was staying at my hotel in downtown Dingle. I came here at the sunset prior to my morning at Conor Pass. This entire peninsula is just breathtaking. The drive out to Duncan Pier is called the Sleehead Drive, and it's definitely one you don't want to miss. I got an amazing sunset here, and the famous spot with the spiral walkway and the jagged triangle-shaped rocks is one of the more unique spots along the coastline in Ireland. Just a tip though, do not swim here. The wind is crazy and the ocean currents are extremely dangerous here, as you can see from some of these time lapses. Number 5 is going to be my favorite city in the country, and that is going to be Galway, located in County Galway. In 2017, I lived here for about a month, and I loved every single second of it. I was super stoked to come back here on my recent trip. Galway is just a few hours directly west of Dublin, and it's famous for being the festival capital of Ireland. It hosts an average of 122 festivals and events every single year, which is unreal. I like to think of it as a very fun and hipster town that has a great scene for the arts and just an awesome place to kind of hang out and spend a bunch of time here. And while you're here, make sure to check out the Claddagh Ring store. It is one of the most famous in the country and definitely a must-do while you're staying in Galway. Next up is going to be a bonus one. So at 5.5, we have the Kilkee Cliffs, and I didn't have room on my top 10 for this one, but it was so amazing that I didn't want to leave it out. I absolutely loved the Kilkee Cliffs coastal area. To me, it felt like the Cliffs of Moher, but no one knew about them. Probably spent 4 hours exploring this coastal area, and there's just so many wild and jaw-dropping cliffs. I didn't see a single car or a single person the entire day. Kind of couldn't believe it. Not that the Cliffs of Moher aren't cool, but to an extent, you kind of know what to expect. While the Kilkee Cliffs are rarely photographed and they just go on for miles, so it's so many beautiful areas of the coast that I just have never seen before, which was really awesome. The wind was out of control on this day, but I could have hung out here forever just admiring these cliffs. Next up at number 6 is going to be the Cliffs of Moher. This is definitely the most iconic place in the entire country, and it wouldn't be a proper trip to Ireland without visiting. Fun fact, the Princess Bride movie in 1987 was filmed here, as well as a film that we all know and love, and that is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Due to the pandemic, you have to purchase a ticket ahead of time, but it's super easy to book online. It only costs €7. There are miles of paved walking trails along the cliffs, and I definitely recommend checking them all out because you get a bunch of different awesome vantage points. Next up at number 7 is going to be a 2-for-1, and this is Doonagore Castle and Dunguaire Castle. And apologies if I'm pronouncing these wrong. I actually didn't get to talk to any locals here, so I may or may not be pronouncing these right. But these are 2 awesome stops along the Wild Atlantic Way, and you can pretty much park right at each castle. Doonagore Castle is just before the town of Doolin and is surrounded by amazing cliffs and seaside views. It's actually pretty close to the Cliffs of Moher. And Dunguaire Castle is a 16th century tower house on the shore of Galway Bay, just outside of Galway, and it is a beautiful place to stop. Currently it's closed, but that definitely doesn't mean you can't admire it from a distance. This is an awesome castle. Number 8 is going to be the town of Cove, and this is such a cool little town. I've never seen or heard of this place until I was here and actually visiting the town of Cork. I was actually under the impression that the photos of Cove were Cork until I spoke to someone in a restaurant while I was getting lunch in Cork who properly told me where to go. The church here is stunning, overlooking the ocean, and it is surrounded by these picture-perfect, colorful homes. It makes for some really awesome photos as well. You can visit here from Cork, and you can also enjoy the view of the town from the other side of the water on Haulbowline Island, and this is closer to Kinsale and just outside of Ringaskiddy. Number 9 is going to be the Aran Islands, and this is a place I visited twice on my first trip to Ireland. It's an amazing day trip from Galway, and it is a group of 3 islands at the mouth of Galway Bay and just off the west coast of Ireland. On a clear day, you can actually see the islands from the Cliffs of Moher. The largest island here is going to be Inishmore, which is home to the prehistoric fort of Doonagore, perched on top of a massive cliff. This is a day trip that you will never forget, and the boat ride out there and the day tour is only going to cost you €30. Last up is going to be Killarney National Park, which is a beautiful place to visit with tons of things to do. It is just a few minutes south of the town of Killarney, making it a very accessible and easy to visit. The park is filled with mountains and scattered with beautiful lakes all around. Some of my favorite places here are going to be Ross Castle, Muckross House, and Torque Waterfall. Definitely an awesome place to visit. You could spend a few days here exploring all of the trails and things to see. And that is going to wrap up my top 10 places to visit in Ireland. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had an awesome time out there shooting and filming with the tourism board and Stellar Stories. If you are visiting Ireland, I highly recommend you adding all of these places to your list. You will not regret it. It is going to be an amazing little road trip. And if you'd like to see more of Ireland, I do have an 8K time-lapse film on my channel, so check that out. Please like and subscribe for more, and I hope to see you guys on a future video. Thank you so much for watching.